Michigan Out of Doors Magazine's OD is brought to you by Country Smokehouse of Almont, offering the best quality and satisfaction in homemade meats, sausage, and jerky. It's a Michigan destination. Check out the website at countrysmokehousinc.com. And by Williams Gun Sight, located in Davison. Williams Gun Sight has Mid-Michigan's largest selection of used guns with over 2,000 in stock every day. Check out the website to view inventory and prices. And by The Ultimate Fishing Show, featuring Lake Ultimate, trout pond seminars, walleye fish fry, and more at the Rec Financial Showplace, January 13th through the 16th.
Well, we're here today with Dan Wyant, the newly appointed Director of Michigan's Department of Environmental Quality. Recently, the governor has announced that he is going to resplit the Departments of Environmental Quality and the Departments of Natural Resources. He's also created kind of a super group called the Quality of Life Division that includes DNR, DEQ, and the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, as it is now called. Welcome, Dan. We appreciate you being here with us.
Erin, it's good to be with you.
Well, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and your history and, your thoughts on your new position?
Yeah, well, real quickly, I'm a farm boy from southwest Michigan, a little town of Cassopolis, and grew up I'm visiting my grandfather in Schoolcraft, Michigan, and my exposure to the outdoors came through him. He was an avid hunter, fisherman. He actually liked to hunt pheasant, back when we had pheasants, 60s and 70s. And in southwest Michigan, not a lot of deer back then, so good exposure, but involved in agriculture. And from there, I found myself, after college, in the state legislature working on policy. And from that, I became the director of the Michigan Department of Agriculture. Went back to a foundation in southwest Michigan that focused on entrepreneurship and growing businesses in the state of Michigan and other places around the country. But most recently was tapped by Governor-elect Rick Snyder to come back and lead this quality of life group, which is essentially three departments. It's the Department of Environmental Quality, the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, and the Department of Natural Resources. Again, recognizing DNRE will be split back into two separate departments. To that, it's not added bureaucracy, it's not added cost. The way it's explained to me is that I would be and will be the Director of Environmental Quality, the Department of Environmental Quality, but oversee the group in a coordinating fashion so that we can find some efficiencies and work together to deal with some of these very significant issues that we're going to be facing in Michigan.
Okay, great. So how do you see the split happening? I mean, is this going to, we have a lot of programs that kind of came together and now they're going to come back apart. I mean, what do you see it from a resource standpoint? Yeah,
Erin, a lot of work went into it, a lot of time to put the two together last year, and I thought a lot of good thought went into it. And so our goal is to split the two departments around a lot of the structure currently in place so that, again, we're not moving the pieces around and dramatically changing things. And it's important to do that for a couple of reasons. First of all, these issues are very important, very complex. So the issues around the natural resources, the issues around the Department of Environmental Quality are significant and really need a lot of attention. And I think it's important that we do that. I still think we can find some efficiency in that. The goal of Governor-elect Snyder is that we focus on customer service and that we're responsive and that we're transparent in our decision making. And so we're going to spend a lot of time identifying these very important issues, working with our stakeholder groups, our customers, bringing them to the table, identify priorities because we know issues around resources are going to be significant. Especially here in the short term. And so we're only going to succeed if we have active partnerships, so we look forward to a partnership with MUCC.
Okay, so what do you think about the regulations and we hear a lot from people that say that, especially the business community, they say our regulatory climate isn't right in Michigan, but it's important to protect our natural resources. So how do you strike a balance with that?
Yeah, a lot of people put it as an either-or question. I mean, either we're going to have a strong regulatory response, we're going to protect our resources, or we're going to grow our economy and support business. I think our position is you can do both. It's not an either-or question. I think we need to grow the economy. I think we need to make the Department of Environmental Quality and the Department of Natural Resources and the Department of Agriculture, for that matter, a full partner in growing the economy. But with that said, environmental stewardship has to be a priority. I mean, we live in this tremendous state of Michigan that has 19 million acres of forest land, 10 million acres of agricultural land, 3,200 acres of coastline, second only to the state of Alaska. I mean, we are the nation's north coast. And we sit in 20% of the world's fresh water. I mean, we're in the middle of it. And so water is essential to our state's future economically, but also it's the foundation. It's our key asset that we have to leverage, but we have to leverage it in a way that we're good stewards. Michigan has always had this culture. This is not new to us as Michiganders, protecting the resource and then utilizing the resource, leveraging the resource, whether it's where we live, where we work, or where we play, that we use it in a responsible manner, and that'll be our focus going forward.
So you've come under fire in the media lately for your connection to CAFOs, and when you were the head of the Michigan Department of Agriculture, and I think that the quote in the paper read that you were pushing the EPA to not enforce some of the Clean Water Act standards. Tell me about that. Is that true? Is that?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that question because I need to respond to that. First of all, recognize that we're not going to go backwards on regulatory response to CAFOs. In other words, a lot has happened in the 15 years that the CAFO issue was around when I was first working on it. And so we have a regulatory response, a permit, it's siting. We've got to assure that large livestock operations do not discharge into the waterways of Michigan. And if they do, they have to be held accountable. So that's where we're going to be, and that's where we are going forward. We're not looking back. Now, with that said, again, I think I've been misunderstood with respect to a quality program, the Michigan Agriculture Environmental Assurance Program, which I think is a tremendous program, the type of program we need to continue to promote, not only on agriculture, but in other ways. And this is a program that focuses on technical assistance. It focuses on bringing industry to the table to help solve problems around environmental stewardship with the goal of seeing more environmental stewardship and best practices put on farms and not less. And it's a model program for the nation. It's the one that we want to hold up and do more of because it is the right approach. It is the innovative problem-solving approach. It's the reinvention, if you will, the Rick Snyder's concept of reinventing Michigan, where, again, we're working in partnership to bring stakeholders to help solve solutions. And, again, I'm going to stand behind that program, but we're not going to go back on the regulatory response to CAFOs.